I don't think I've ever been this excited about any music that I've created anywhere. And I really got to just do everything. I'm not trying to be a part of the vocal Olympics or anything like that, but there are some parts where I just am like kind of thinking back to how I did during Reclaimer, I guess, where it was like I would just hear vocals of whatever kind in a particular space and I'd be like, okay, that's what I'm going to go for. And it's the same kind of thing with this one. There's a lot of everything, and there's a lot of stuff that people have never heard me do before that I'm stoked about. Honestly, it just makes me excited for the next one, because if we were able to do this, what we're doing right now, then like the next one, I have no idea what to expect, because I am more and more happy with our stuff every time we do something.
Real quick before we start, I just wanted to mention that we do these podcast recordings live on Twitch. It's kind of a cool way for you guys to be a part of the conversation, as well as see the behind the scenes and the uncut versions of these episodes. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribing, leaving a comment, liking the video, all that stuff goes a long way. Same goes for leaving a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. We have a striving community on Discord if you want to chat with other like-minded deathcore enjoyers, as well as just staying up to date with everything that's going on with the podcast. Last but not least, if you want to support the podcast, I'll be leaving a link down in the description wherever you are watching or listening on how you can do so, as well as links to everything else that I just talked about. With that out of the way, enjoy this episode. Welcome to episode 59 of the Brutality podcast. My name is Dom, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Yan. And this week, we have the pleasure of spending a little bit of time with Ben of Shadow of Intent. Ben, my man, how are you doing? Welcome to the show.
I'm doing great. Thank you guys for having me. It's a pleasure.
Of course.
How are you guys doing?
Doing well, doing even better since I saw a dog right, in the background. I think could be wrong. But I think
yeah, that's him with the donut cone on.
Oh yeah,
he's in a donut prison.
Yeah, it's an honor actually to have you on, talk about all these things. We're both excited. Our community cannot stop talking about it. So welcome to the show, man. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Once again, thank you guys for having me. It is an honor for me as well. I never get to do stuff like this usually, so I'm stoked.
Yeah, we caught you at the right time. You like to keep busy. So
yeah, I have my hands full. That's for sure.
Well, I mean, kind of speaking on that, you just got off of tour with Flesh God, Ingested, Zenith Passage, Disembodied Tyrant's first tour too, right? How was that tour? How'd it go for you guys? This crowd seemed insane every night.
Yeah, it went great. I think it went better than at least half of us expected. Some of the shows were crazy. Montreal, especially, was crazy. Turnouts were great. I had a lot of fun personally, and it's cool to be home after a long tour.
Yeah. Well, because you guys were gone for a good chunk of the summer as well, right? You guys did the Euro run during the summer before that? Yep,
we did. And we are going back in January.
Yes, sir. How's talking about first of all, congratulations, you've got a kid in the past year, not even a year old, right?
Thank you. Yep. He's about to be 11 months.
Hell yeah. So how's that been, I guess, balancing the band with family, newborn, all that? I've seen you make a few posts about it, on while you're on tour and stuff, but how's that been for you? How's it kind of changed touring for you?
Touring, man, honestly, I don't do a whole lot anymore because I like to make sure that I'm available if I get, a video call or whatever, that I'm in a good spot for that. But yeah, being gone definitely feels different now. I've always been someone who's kind of homesick, but now it's kind of like tenfold, as you can imagine. So when the last week of the tour comes up, I'm like, come on, man, let's go. Let's go. Yeah, that's all.
The way I kind of saw a post of yours, I kind of saw it in I thought it was interesting the way you kind of worded. I think it was around Father's Day, and it was kind of like, I think you were playing Download or something like that. It was like some crazy, like some big Euro show, and you're kind of like, I don't get to be home with my son, but this is making me want to like, I'm going to destroy this crowd. Kind of like taking that energy and being like, I'm gonna at least use this somehow.
Yeah. I do remember that day. I'm going to assume it was Download, but I don't remember where it was. Yeah, that was interesting. I mean, obviously, it's not that big of a deal in reality. I mean, he was 6 months old at the time. So it's not like anybody's really celebrating. It was just more like it would have been cool to be with him for that day. What can you do?
A lot of, some of the stuff, there's a lot of firsts, I guess, too. Yeah, you heard him say like some of his first words before leaving for tour, stuff like that,
Yep, he was dropping mamas and dadas and bas for a bottle. And now he's trying to walk all the time, and he's getting really good at it. He took like a dozen steps today, I think.
There we go.
Before
That's
falling
when
on
the
his
fun
ass.
starts.
Yeah. Yeah, we got to start hiding everything. So that'll be fun.
Either that or put him in a cage. So
yeah, that's right next to me right here. This little white thing here.
On the other side, though, as much as like, because I'm trying to I'm not a dad or anything. I'm trying to imagine like, because being on tour is already kind of not trying to be negative, but like exhausting and difficult. And you miss home, but like now you're dad. But on the other side, though, if I can go positive, he has like the coolest thing ever. He's going to be at school one day, and they're going to be like, the days that you have to say what your parents are doing, and he's going to show video, and people are going to be like, that's your dad. So and I'm guessing, I don't know the logistic of that, but when he's going to be a certain age, you're going to be able to bring him on certain tour, I'm guessing. So that's going to be cool.
That's a goal of mine, at least to get him up on the stage one time would be awesome. God. And just be like, hey, say hello.
Yeah, dude, and the fans are absolutely gonna love that. Who wouldn't? It's gonna be so sick. And who knows? Maybe he's gonna already be doing little vocals, and he's gonna do a little feature. We don't know. So
sometimes when he can hear me doing it, he thinks it's pretty funny. So maybe.
Who knows?
He just laughs.
It's funny. It's funny for now. Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. That's
cool, man. Dude, let's so we love to go all the way back on this show and kind of dig into some of the history. So I'd love to maybe two things I'd want to touch on. But first, maybe can you talk to me a little bit about trying out for your first band in your driveway?
In my driveway.
It was something about it being a long drive to the tryouts and putting on some Within the Ruins or something. And
okay. So this wasn't technically my first band. This was my first band that actually did anything, I guess you could say. But Burning Beneath, it was May 26, 2011. And don't ask me how I remember that. I'm like the elephant battle.
Yeah, I'm kind of impressed right now. Like,
and this kid that lived on my street that I was friends with named Kyle Tooth was in this band Burning Beneath, and he told me that they needed vocalists. So I hit up their vocalist who just stepped over to a guitar, Kyle Minsner, who's in Face Yourself. He's their bassist now.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that relationship, actually.
Yep. He's in Face Yourself now, and he pulled up into my driveway and he was like, listen, man, it's like 40-minute drive here. I don't want to waste your time, and I don't want you to waste mine. So, like, can you do the thing? And I was like, well, yeah, I can do the thing. You got a song in here you can put on that I know or something like that. And he threw on, I think it was Invade by Within the Ruins, which at the time I knew. I don't know how that goes now. And I did it, and he was just like, he sat there quiet for 3 to 5 seconds probably and was like, all right, and put it in reverse, and off we went. I was like, all right, cool. We're doing this thing.
I always thought that was kind of an interesting story. Right in the driveway, like we're trying you out. You don't even got to go anywhere. Well, let's see you do this here. And some people would have probably had like some sort of performance anxiety of like doing it out in the open.
Oh, I definitely did.
Yeah.
I definitely did. I mean, I still do even now. Some fans will be like, "Hey, man, can you do a vocal?" And I'll be like, "No,
Nah, no, not without my band behind me. Like, I'm good.
Yeah. So
It's not the same though. It's not the same. Let's be real on that, because it's like when people go to comedian and they're like, tell a joke. That's not how it works. Like, I mean, it's not the same feeling. There's a motivation behind. There's a timing for that. Like, and I'm sure it's the same for all vocalists. Like, I would maybe, but like most vocals are gonna be like, what? Like now, you know what I mean? Like at the merch shop, I'm kind of chilling, you know? So
yeah. Especially, I mean, I can't really speak for anybody else, but for me personally, my vocals are very loud, so I can just suddenly do it and it'll be loud. But really, when I'm on stage and I have adrenaline and, I'm in the zone, that is where the real vocals that everybody knows comes out, I guess.
Yeah, that's
because
the power.
I'm like,
that's where the
in.
power comes from. Like,
there's context too, right? Like it's not like there's a feeling behind it. It's like, it's like if you record in studio, you've got your music behind. There's a momentum for that. It's not like we're talking and I'm gonna do my best vocals right now in the middle of so it's different is what I'm trying to say. So
that's kind of full circle though, then, because then you filled in on vocals for Face Yourself for a few dates earlier this year. I'm assuming that kind of comes from that initial relationship.
It does. Kyle has helped me with a million things over the years, and we've been very good friends ever since. I went to his wedding. He's helped me move in. We've done this, that, and the other thing. So I felt like I owed him a favor for all the stuff he's done for me. And I was like, I can't do the whole tour. I can do a few days. I know that's crazy, but if you need it, I'm there. And they wanted it, so I did it.
Okay, how nervous were you? Because I'm trying to put myself in your shoes, as much as you can know, like you're used to go on the stage with your, you know what I mean? Like with your band, with your stuff and I'm guessing it's already stressful, even though what you're doing, it's still like, it's a big thing. So how did you feel like the first show that you had to, to go with them?
I was definitely nervous because one, I'm used to playing music that is super fast. And their music is not fast, and it's just very different dynamic. I never got to practice with them. We didn't even sound check or anything. I just kind of dove into it. Completely different microphone, different ear mix, different like everything. So I honestly can't believe that I sung the songs without butchering them.
Wow. Oh my God. And did you notice, I know you're when you perform, maybe you don't notice, but people were probably happy to see you on stage, right? Like, I mean, there was some sort of reaction.
There was a little bit.
More local shows too, right? Like closer to where you are.
Yeah, like what did I do? New York, Worcester, Mass, and Reading, Pennsylvania. And I grew up going to shows all the time. So there was definitely at least a handful of people there that knew what was going on.
Yeah. Because it's always cool, like as much as it can be, you're always wondering like who's that on stage, but like when it's someone you actually know and you're like, oh my God, he's gonna perform, like it's.
I think awesome. It was definitely unexpected for a lot of people, but I had fun. It was cool, and some of those parts were in French, and it was tricky to learn, honestly.
That we can understand.
Some of those songs took me a few days to get down, which is kind of unusual for me. So I was kind of sweating it when it came up. I'm like, damn, I really hope I don't screw this up.
Look, I'm sure the people in Mass probably wouldn't have known the difference if you butchered the French words, but still, if you want to honor the songs, but
Yeah, I try to do my best,
How was the feedback of, because I'm guessing after the show, like if I was at your place, the first thing I would do is like, so guys, what's it like? How was it like? Were they like stoked? Like, dude, you actually kill it?
Honestly, I don't really remember hearing any.
Okay. Which can be a good sign. They didn't say it was wrong. So.
Like we would play, and I think I went and ended up smoking with Rivers of Nile at the time, and then I would just end up in Cattle Decap's green room for the remainder of the night.
Yeah.
Which is understandable. So,
I had a fun time.
You just mentioned smoking. Are you still sober?
Sort of. This was before I made that call. That was in May, and on the European festival run is where I decided. Me and Bryce were in Ireland. We had a huge emotional moment together. And it was crazy. And we were like, all right, yeah, screw this. And then on this last tour, there were a few nights where we were like, hey, we haven't been smoking at all. And we're on tour. So I don't have to watch the baby. You're not going to, you know, XYZ. Maybe we can just let loose a little bit. And we had a little bit on that tour. And I found myself having more beers than I often do. Usually I don't drink on tour, like, period.
Sure.
But I had a little fun this time. You know, I turned 30 years old. I'm happy that, you know, I'm touring and my son is happy, and just wanted to have a bit of fun and not stress the whole time about him being at home.
Yeah. And I mean, like, from my perspective, at the very least, like, it's always a matter of, like, is it a problem? Like, if you can just, like, enjoy yourself a little bit with people, I personally see no wrong in that. It's like, if, you know, like, I feel like it's when it becomes kind of, oh my God, I don't have any, and you're kind of like panicking type thing. That's kind of, it starts to get scary, you know? I think at this point you're like,
I will say, like, I've been there before, but I'm nowhere near that now. And it is super awesome to be at that point. And really, it was my son being born that kind of helped me figure that out. I'm like, whoa, I'm spending too much on weed. I'm doing this way too often. And I don't want to be high while I'm taking care of him either. That's just nightmare fuel, honestly. So I avoid that.
Doesn't make the task any easier.
You're panicking the whole time, for sure. Yeah.
No, and, like, you know, you could, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to get stuck in a situation where I'm spacing the fuck out on something and he, like, you know, falls over and I don't even notice. So I just don't even go there.
Yeah. I think, as we were saying, I guess it kind of, just being aware of it now, I guess, probably changes the whole dynamic too. Like, you know, having it be a choice, like, hey, like, I'm on tour right now, let's have a few beers and have fun, is like a different perspective than, like, I need to smoke weed every day and I'm going insane if I'm not, you know, type of thing.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. And, you know, me and Andrew, our bass player, he and I really kind of just tried to do that a lot this tour, just have fun and, you know, be laid back and do whatever. And we would have, like, I would have a beer or maybe another one before we went up, and I'd never done that before in my life. And I didn't do it every night. I think I did it like 3 or 4 nights of the tour, but those nights were particularly fun. I don't know. Usually I'm like picking myself apart like crazy in my head when I'm on stage. So I didn't have that on those nights, and that was interesting.
I was going to ask about vocals specifically, I guess, drinking before a performance. That's never hindered you?
No.
In terms of even just maybe performance-wise? Like, it's never been...
Nope. I was very curious about what would happen the first time. I think it was in Detroit on the tour we just did. And I was like, oh, you know, I really didn't think about that. And we went up and everything was fine.
I guess maybe these guys are going to get a terrible show. Who knows?
I guess we're going to know now.
So if you were there and you're from Detroit, you know, you got some shit to talk, throw it in there.
and especially like in deathcore music and what you guys are doing, it feel not to sure way, like the entire band is interesting and stuff, but like so many people are going there, you know, vocal wise, they want to hear like the vocals, how it's gonna sound and everything. So like not to put pressure on you, but that's kind of, you know, people are paying a lot of attention. So like I can only imagine like if you would have gone on stage and you're like, oh my God, it's not like usual right now. Like the voices in your heads are just like, so I'm glad it wasn't affected for that. Because it must be a nightmare, you know. Imagine being on stage and you're just like, oh my God, you know.
Like we played a show in London one time, and right after our first song of the set, our whole setup went dark for like 5 minutes, and right after the first song, and I have nothing prepared to say or like anything, and I was looking back at Bryce, I was like, holy shit, man, I don't know what to fucking do right now.
Just hand Bryce the mic and, hey, tell a few jokes, why don't you?
So that really hasn't happened to us often, but that one time really made me think, you know, I need to be prepared for that in the future big time, because that was for me terrifying.
For sure. I mean, Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, you guys are all like fully on tracks and everything too, right? Like there's no show if you don't have the full rig running, right?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it doesn't really go for me. I can, just follow Bryce playing the drums. But for those guys, yeah, they've got, they need to hear themselves playing, and Bryce needs to hear his feet, and he's got the click track. So
yeah, and the
You've
orchestral
got
stuff,
technical
like all
stuff.
there's the backing tracks in general. Like there's just a lot of stuff going on, right? Compared
Yeah,
to
there is.
maybe some other bands that'd be a little easier to kind of raw dog it,
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, like we've played so many shows where maybe people have noticed this in the crowd, but like my ears will just fall out from headbanging, and I'll be like, oh, it sucks, and I'll just listen to Bryce playing the cymbals, and that's just how I try to finish the song, just listening to him. And I've done that like a million times at this point.
It doesn't that isn't an issue even on like the way bigger stages.
No,
Like on the festival runs and stuff like that, because that gets like kind of harder to actually hear what's going on in those scenarios, I guess.
No, honestly, like I know our songs like crackhead level, so I'm pretty much ready to go in any scenario.
It's like muscle memory, almost the whole.
Yeah.
Ben's the click. Forget the drum.
Yeah. Question about Bryce. Does he? Because my favorite thing about that dude, he's smiling the whole time. I've never seen that. Someone who's just so happy to play all the time. Is it always like that? Like during shows and stuff, he's just like super happy the whole time.
Yep. And usually we'll turn around and say stuff to him that'll make him laugh. So people probably see him laughing all the time too, and that's because we are saying ridiculous things to him.
So you're helping you're contributing to it.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy type thing.
Yeah.
But I thought it was so refreshing to see, right? Because like most drummers, they're going to be either like super in their head or kind of making faces because it's super heavy. But him, it feels like he's having the time of his life every single performance. And I think it's unique and it's kind of a one-time thing. I've never seen somebody doing that. So I was
I mean, when I think it was around when he first joined, he mentioned, he was like, hey, I smile a lot, but like, are you guys cool with that? I've been in bands that they're like telling me not to smile, and we were just like, yeah, I mean, we don't give a shit. If you want to smile, smile, dude.
That's kind of wild, dude. Hey, could you stop smiling, please?
Stop being happy
stop
with
having fun. Yeah.
You have to be miserable when you play with us.
I get it, like in quotes, but like that's like a weird request.
Still, I thought it was kind of funny.
I think it's funny, but also different. You know what I mean? Like, why would you ask your drummer to change and to kind of be more like other people when he can be himself and stand out? In my book, it's a very good thing. So.
Yeah, he does that well. He's a very likable person, and even when we're off the stage, we're pretty much always laughing because none of us ever shut up, and we just have 1,000,001 inside jokes that we're constantly going through with each other.
Yes.
So he's always pretty much
the
in a
inside
good
jokes
mood.
On tour are it is real.
Yes. Yeah.
Speaking on other people in the band, this kind of touches on, I'd love to talk to you a little bit about your relationship with Chris, because you guys, so what, the band's been at it for just over 10 years now, which is kind of crazy to think about. And
next month, it'll technically be 11.
11, there we go. That's insane. To me, it like doesn't compute. It like doesn't make sense, but here we are, I guess. But you and Chris, initially started the band as a two-piece.
Correct.
So I'd be kind of curious to talk about your relationship with him and how maybe the band initially started. Did you guys think that you guys were going to do this as a band thing, like performing? Like just kind of talk to me about Chris and how that kind of started.
So when I was in Burning Beneath, we played a show in April 2012 at the French Club in Willimantic, Connecticut, and his band Look to Orion was there. And we finished playing, and he came up to me and he said some stuff to me, and we became friends. And what was it? He sent me some songs that year. I'm pretty sure it was.
Okay. Out of the blue, or you guys had been talking?
We were kind of talking about our mutual like for like symphonic music and tech death. And we were just, kind of hinting, we should, do something. And then one day he was like, hey, wait, I have these 5 songs. which was Prelude to Bereavement, Shaping Sickness, Cosmic Inquisitor, Last Bastion, and Indexing. And
Sure.
we wrote those together, and I went to his house for his birthday in that December, which next month will be 11 years ago. And we ate a hibachi buffet, and then we went back and we tracked an EP together. And no, we did not ever expect to become a band. More of a thing that really I think I was pushing for, like probably around right after Primordial dropped. I think I was really starting to get on his case, like, hey, you know, I think we can do this. And I always wanted to play music and tour, so I was trying to seize the opportunity. And he was kind of skeptical, if I remember correctly. He already had Currents that he was doing as well. And once Reclaimer came out, I think it became too hard for him to say no.
Right. I'm assuming because you go off of the first tours that you guys did, and you look at the lineups you guys were a part of, and it's kind of like, wait, that would be pretty fucking cool. You know, I'm sure the offers that were coming in before deciding that it was going to be a full thing, you know, were probably interesting as well, right?
I honestly don't remember too many of them, but I will say that our first tours were very lucky. You know, at that time, there weren't really too many internet-only bands that were just coming up. At least not that I can remember. So to get on a tour with Black Dahlia Murder as our first full US tour was kind of like, what the fuck, dude? You know, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Proof of concept too, you know, like you said, he was visiting, like you cannot really deny that it's going well at that point. You're just like, okay, maybe this is something, you know?
Yeah. And then on that tour, we played a sold out show at the House of Blues in Anaheim. It was like over 2,000 people. And then we were really like, okay, this fucking rules. Cool.
Wow.
How was that for you? Because, you know, I'm sure you would say Bozeman is, you know, especially early on, probably a pretty big inspiration for you vocal wise, right? So how, like that tour had Whitechapel on it, like that must have been kind of like a full circle moment, but like right out the gates, you know, it's a few years into the band, but like first, like full US, you know, that must have been something, right?
It definitely was. And I remember before I first walked up and introduced myself really to him, I like went back and forth like 3 times. I was like, no, you know. And finally I was just like, oh, you know, I'm just going to do it. And I went and I talked to him, and I'm glad I did. I mean, we get along great. I talk to him every now and then. He calls me his son, which is super funny to me. I don't think I could have ever imagined such a thing happening when I was in high school listening to Whitechapel and practicing the songs, but it's cool. He's a great guy, and I'm very glad that my first tour experience really was with them.
Insane.
Right.
And don't quote me on that, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he mentioned you during, like he did the Garza and stuff like that. I think when he was talking about like who's right now, I think he mentioned you in the podcasting, like, yeah, Ben, I think is the, you know, like the not the new, you've been around for a while, but like he was referring to you as like currently, yeah, he's top, like he's amazing.
I have been sent a lot of stuff by people of him, like in various interviews, saying stuff like that,
which must be wild, must be crazy for you.
I think he is crazy, but I appreciate it. It's very cool, and it just seems like it's not real.
Despised Icon is bringing it back to the MySpace era with this new limited drop of their favorite designs from the 2000s, available exclusively through the sponsor of today's episode, Indie Merch Store. Pick up hoodies and tees from the time where top 8s and breakdowns were all that mattered. Snag yours today at indiemerchstore.com and use code Brutality for 10% off. Bringing you officially licensed merchandise from your favorite bands and labels since 2005. No bootlegs. That's indiemerchstore.com. And again, use code Brutality for 10% off. Thank you to Indie Merch Store for sponsoring this episode. And now back to the show.
Is it still weird for you to get all those either like compliments and stuff like that. Because I know a lot of people that we're talking to, they're like, well, I still don't see myself as that or there or whatever. So when you have like either fans being like you're the best vocalist, or people you look up to being like, dude, you're amazing, is it still like special for you as a moment?
Yeah, definitely. I would say that for most musicians, I feel like I don't hear that a lot from other band members. But when it does happen, for me, that's really the most polarizing, because it's so unexpected usually. Like we were just talking about with Phil. To me, that still doesn't seem real or valid to me. I just don't accept it in my head. So, and when people in general just come up and tell me, I've heard it enough times to where like I understand that they believe that, but I still don't really necessarily understand what it is that I'm doing that makes them feel that way. And I mean, it's cool. It's great. Obviously, that was the goal when I was starting out. But for me personally, I don't feel like I've ever put out anything that really, truly showcases me and what I can actually do, which is why I'm very excited about this new Shadow of Intent stuff, because it's really just all over the place. And I got to do loads of stuff that I've wanted to do with the band for a long time. And I really feel like I'm finally comfortable with how my voice is sounding, which has been a long time coming.
It's really interesting. Not to put you on the spot, I don't know how much you can tell about that, but it's cool to hear, because I feel, as you said, that's something we are a lot like. As much as people can say, "Oh, you were amazing on that song," like you always feel like you could have done better. Like it's good, but you're like, I could have been there, you know, like I had a few things. So now you're saying that on the new things, you feel like that. You feel like that's your
there. I feel like that for most of the songs, and then there are some songs where I'm like, yeah, there's no possible way that this could be improved, like at all. I'm very stoked on it. I'm very stoked on it. We're all stoked on everything. I think everybody's happy with what they've done individually, and we're almost wrapping it up now. So hopefully we can get that out soon.
That's awesome, man. For what it's worth, the latest single is by far my favorite song of you guys. Like,
that's awesome.
By far. It's such I really dig the overall vibe and style of the song, because you guys throughout your discographies have always kind of experimented in different things. Yeah, slower songs, faster songs. Some are more death metal leaning, some more deathcore. Like it's always had like a mix of different things. Yeah, especially I feel as time's gone on. I think you guys have taken more and more liberties as the albums have progressed. But this one, I was like, for me personally, is like up my alley in terms of like, I don't know, there's something about the speed. There's like a
super technical too. Like even like I would say
I'm a big like tech deathcore fan. Like the super fast Aversion's Crown style stuff. You guys still have the like core. Okay, let's talk about choruses, because this one has a great one, but like choruses in general in metal, I feel are so underappreciated and not done all that much. And a lot of times when people hear chorus, maybe they'll think of it in a cheesy way and I think you guys are one of the few examples, specifically in deathcore, that are doing like a repeating part or a chorus that still sounds brutal as fuck and it's catchy. Like that ultimately that's what you want a chorus to be, like catchy, but it doesn't take away from
still badass type thing.
Yeah, it's still badass as fuck. Like, can you speak to that a little bit? Because I feel like Shadow of Intent has kind of always been about that. There's always been like even some of it is a little bit more singy, but it's always stayed super brutal. Is that something you guys think about a lot? Is that all Chris? Do you have a say in that?
That is I'm curious. Mostly Chris, I will say. Like probably 80% him. The 20% I have in there is my limited knowledges of choruses. Most of what I listen to does not have choruses in it. I listen to like 90s death metal and dissonant black metal and stuff like that. So not a whole lot of deathcore and metalcore listening for me anymore. And I just really like, I'll use the new stuff as an example that we're writing right now. We have some choruses on there where it's not so, I mean, there are some brutal parts, I guess, in the chorus parts, but I really want it to sound more like dominating and commanding. I want it to be like you're picturing this, some asshole in a giant throne, telling everybody what to do, I guess. And that's kind of the vibe we're going for. Like a lot of the newer stuff is very, could say our stuff was, epic or whatever. This time it's a bit more oppressive and horrifying at moments. So I'm really trying to hone in. Yeah, it's definitely the darkest Shadow of Intent album. And there are parts where I honestly just laugh when it comes on, because it's like, how did we get here? And
almost scary.
Yeah, and so I'm very excited to kind of do that with the choruses now. But in the past, it was very much so Chris. He's very good at that sort of thing. He's helped me a lot with the lyrics for those kind of parts. I think like maybe one of the only ones he didn't do was Intensified Genocide with me. That chorus part was
which
just
is an
me.
amazing chorus. That someone's saying it in chat too. It's such a good chorus.
No, cool. Oh yeah, there it is. Well, thanks. Yeah, I felt like the whole song is just so balls to the wall. It'd be nice just to have one little modest kind of breathing space type chorus in there.
It's funny you said the throne thing, because I was about to say the vibe I always got from you guys was these epic medieval wars. You know what I mean? Like every single time I was like, I feel like there's like two giant armies in medieval time with like freaking, well, with your parts you can picture goblins, also like orcs and goblins and stuff with the noises, but like always felt cinematic to me. Which I think is difficult to do with, because when you do symphonic stuff, you can really quickly fall in more of don't know what to expect, maybe more
It's just an ambiance. It's just a lot of pads.
Exactly. More just a sound behind and stuff like that, which makes it sometimes a little more soft. But what you guys always felt like massive kind of a war thing.
That is cool. If you feel that way already, then you are definitely going to feel that way when this stuff comes out. I don't know. I mean, I said it was oppressive and something else before, but really, seriously, Flying the Black Flag is probably the lightest song on the album, if I had to say it.
Okay.
By quite a bit. I mean, like, we have one that we just did that has a bit of kind of what you just mentioned. There's a bit more just ambient noise to it, but not in the way you would expect. I mean, it just sounds like you're falling down the longest elevator shaft ever, basically. And it's very cool, and I'm very happy with how Chris wrote that part. So there's kind of a new energy to this stuff, and we're doing the orchestra like a little different. Like we have the standard sounding orchestra, but we also have kind of like this I guess like modern electronic type stuff, kind of like I call it the beeping sound that you can hear in Black Flag in the beginning, that like kind of sound. We do a lot more experimenting. So I don't know, man.
No, but I think it's cool. I think it's cool because you're just hearing you talking about it, smiling, laughing, and stuff like that. Like it's easy to tell you're excited, and to be fair, it's exactly what people want, dude. Like the last thing you want is someone just being like, yeah, we're working on something, right? You know what I mean? Like a lot of people, which I understand after years and stuff like that, it's understandable. But to hear you like that, like laughing, I can tell that as you were recording, you were probably laughing at some brutal parts. Like that's too much. You know what I mean? Like just seeing your face, I'm like, that happened for sure many times. It's cool to see.
I'm definitely. I don't think I've ever been this excited about any music that I've created anywhere. and I really got to just do everything. And I mean, I'm not trying to be a part of the vocal Olympics or anything like that, but there are some parts where I just am like kind of thinking back to how I did during Reclaimer, I guess, where it was like I would just hear vocals of whatever kind in a particular space, and I'd be like, okay, that's what I'm going to go for. And it's the same kind of thing with this one. There's a lot of everything, and there's a lot of stuff that people have never heard me do before that I'm stoked about. And honestly, it just makes me excited for the next one, because if we were able to do this, what we're doing right now, then like the next one, I have no idea what to expect, because I am more and more happy with our stuff every time we do something.
I think it's awesome because you mentioned, the vocal Olympics and stuff like that's a conversation we have many times. That being said, every time your name come on, like you're not included in the kind of conversation about like just making every sound. It's tasteful what you're doing, and also something that's very difficult to do. I think it's fair to say you have your own voice, own sound. It's very easy to recognize you on a track, which I think is the goal, because it's cool to see range. It's just a bit less cool when it's just always range everywhere, just to just going like that. I think that's the part that we're like, I think,
I think, I 100% agree with you. And maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like I have a pretty good gauge for where and when to do that and when not to do that. And I think that we've somehow managed to take the classic Shadow of Intent stuff and make new stuff. And I think that at the same time, fans who have wanted more Hollow Prophet stuff will be completely satisfied.
Yeah, I mean, you're giving me the segue too easy here. What's going on with Hollow Prophet?
Well, as soon as I'm done doing the Shadow of Intent album, that's what I'm doing next. I'm doing the Hollow Prophet album.
Hell yeah, because that was like a huge surprise to probably a lot of people, but for me, I was like, whoa, this is such a cool mixture of different people being involved. How'd that project even come to be? Like, were you just talking to, like, you and Jack were talking and it was just like, hey, let's do something together? Like, how did that even come about?
I think so. Honestly, my memory's a little foggy on how it started, because I do remember when he was hitting me up initially, I was at work, so I was kind of just like responding real quick and going back to doing whatever. But yeah, he had some stuff. If I remember, there were 4 songs that didn't get used for Slaughter to Prevail that he had, and that was the Hellhole EP. Okay. And then he wrote the Scum Prophet stuff, and then right after he wrote Scum Prophet, he wrote this whole album and like half of another one. And he got very busy and I got very busy. At that time, my life was just complete turmoil. Like every single day there was some new bullshit that I had to deal with or take care of, and it just got backed into the corner. And so when I finally started to do it, I just was never happy. I think I made like 10 versions of like every song.
Oh my God. Okay.
Because his instrumentals that he wrote are extremely good in my opinion. And what I was doing was maybe good enough to be on Hellhole, but I really wanted to kind of match what he was going for. And now I think that we have the most garbage juice covered, grimiest deathcore album that you could ask for, basically. And I'm very ready to get that out there because it's been like 7 years now.
Oh, dude, that makes me so happy though. I'm so
a lot of people are going to be happy. Yeah.
I'm glad the project is still going. Cause I think a lot of people, I don't know, there's something about the particular style that you guys are doing that there isn't much of anymore. Like that super fast paced kind of deathcore. It's just not something that happens a lot anymore. So I'm a sucker for that sort of stuff. So
me too. The first song
Shadow,
on this
but
album,
I also love Hollow Prophet, you know.
Me too. I love doing it. Like the first song on this Hollow Prophet album, I think is like 340 BPM. It's like crazy, stupid fast.
Of course it is. Yeah.
And then the end breakdown, I remember the first time I heard it, I just laughed. I was like, that's the fucking heaviest thing I've ever heard in my life. I immediately got mental images of stomped to death basically. And I'm like, all right, that's I guess what the song's going to be about. So we're going off of that. It's I don't like to toot my own horn. I'm not even really. I'm just talking about the instrumentals here, but it's very good. And I think that when it's done, the wait will have been worth it, hopefully.
Well, you're stoked on both. So I'm not like I'm sure it's gonna be awesome. But I have a question about that. Do you have like not a ritual, but things that you do to prepare recording songs like that? Like, is there something you do to put yourself in the mindset? Something you do related to your voice or anything, or you just dive into it?
Usually, I just dive into it, but physically, I have to. I don't even know how to describe it really. It's just once I start feeling like completely different. Like I get into the mindset where if you like bump into me, I'm probably gonna like punch you in the face.
Wow.
So I get kind of crazy, I guess, and I use that to just fuel whatever's going on, especially in that project because it's just complete madness. And that's really the goal, especially now more than ever. Before it was all demons and Satan and stuff, and now it's just crazy straitjacket man energy. So I kind of have to put myself in that mindset to do that.
I'm guessing you do the same when you walk on stage. It's probably similar. You probably put yourself. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yep. So yeah, that's honestly crazy. A lot of people always ask me when we're done playing, like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" And I'm just like, "Yeah, just like give me like 5 minutes. I'm just, trying not to shit out my brains, basically." I'm like,
you got to reascend into your own body, basically.
Yeah, it feels crazy, and I've nearly fainted. I have fainted before. There's times where like I can't get up. There are times where I can't catch my breath for like 20 minutes. Just because my heart rate is like so out of control from doing what I'm doing. Like I said before too, like I'm kind of a loud vocalist, so I'm like really like exerting. I'm like the least relaxed vocalist probably in the generation, I would say, on stage, other than probably Alex Terrible, but he's in way better shape than I am. So I'm just getting fucking devastated up there, basically.
No, but it makes sense. Like the way I'm understanding is you're definitely channeling some sort of energy while you're doing it. Like I wouldn't call it instinct, but close. Like you let yourself go in the mindset and you just go.
Yeah.
But to be fair with you, you're talking about like air and stuff like that, but you have some fast part that even when I'm listening, I'm like, I don't know how he managed that. I've seen you like live, like even I was looking at him like you're moving.
I can't sing the alphabet that fast.
It's
being real.
Crazy. Like you're moving. Like I saw you in many, like basically every single clip. I was, when I was doing my little compilation of you screaming, I was looking at many clips. I was like, how the heck, like moving and going crazy, but like keeping the same tone. So I'm not super surprised that it is difficult after it's not even humanly possible, it feels like. So
honestly, when I was a teenager, I could have never imagined being at this point that I'm at right now, and it physically feels crazy to do that kind of stuff, and sometimes I'm still even surprised that I am doing it. Like as I'm doing it, I'm like, holy shit, we just did that. And like even though I've done it like 30 times, it's still like cool, I guess, especially for songs like Udenophobia. I mean, I think there's like a 20-second long scream that changes pitch like 5 times or something like that. And when we first did it, I could barely even do it. Like I sent videos of me tracking it to Chris, and I was just like wheezing at the end of it or like croaking. And now we play it live, and it's like
cut that ending out, please.
Yeah,
don't leave that in.
Yeah, and now it's like not so big of a deal. So I mean, I'm not like the greatest vocalist on the planet by any means. I'm not saying that, but I have practiced probably more than 10,000 hours at this point, easily. So it's as easy as talking for me, even though maybe physically it's not so easy, if that makes sense.
Is it something that you feel you lose if you don't like keep up practice consistently?
Sort of.
Are there times where you don't practice vocals for a bit and you get back into it? You're like, oh shit.
Yeah,
What have
usually
I done?
between tours, I don't really practice until like 3 weeks beforehand. But when COVID was a thing, I didn't do vocals for like almost 2 years, which I've never done that before. And it took me, I think, like 3 or 4 days of practicing, and then I just kind of hopped right back in at that point. So it really didn't take me too much work to undo all that. I don't know how it is for other people, but the technique that I do is very easy for me to do, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, it's different. It's different for everyone, right?
Yeah.
I think that's what I think makes, we have these discussions with different people and different vocalists, and everyone always has a different thing to say about this sort of stuff. So it's just lucky for us, it gives us stuff to talk about, or else we'd stop asking the same questions. But but it's cool. It's cool to see the perspective. I love. Do you have a setup to record at home, like when you do features and stuff, or do you go to Chris's?
Yep.
Like what's
I've been doing this new one here at my house.
Cool.
I've got the most ghetto rig of ghetto rigs that you can imagine, basically upstairs, and but I've got the new Telefunken TF47 microphone that is the most beautiful thing that I could have ever asked for. And if any vocalists are in here and you have $2,000 to drop on a microphone, that's the one. Let me tell you, that's the one.
Yeah, but I saw you kind of touting it online. It brings out some different, some detail and depth that you weren't used to getting out of different mics.
Yeah, so with the SM7B, like I would do my standard low, and I don't even know how to describe it, but it would sound like this, I guess. To me, it would sound like a little tight circle, and you can kind of hear the distortion in my voice, kind of. But a lot of people were telling me that my voice has like this like hollow and smooth sound to it. And when I'm thinking, no, it absolutely doesn't, because I know what I sound like without a mic.
Right.
I really started paying attention to that, and noticing it, like, especially on Elegy, the vocals sound very smooth and flat to me. Whereas this really picks up, if I could best describe it, it sounds like it's picking up my voice in 3D. Okay. So there's a lot more body to it. You can hear the distortion that I'm doing much clearer. And for guttural stuff, it's just, it sounds way better.
It's probably part of why you're so excited about what's coming, right?
It definitely is. I mean, I posted a clip a couple days ago of something, and it's almost vocally not any different than anything I've done before. And it just, to me, it sounds 10 times better than anything that we've released. And I was getting all sorts of messages like, wow, that sounds crazy. And I'm like, it's the same fucking thing I've done like for the last 5 years. But the microphone just brings out that other level.
It was crazy 5 years ago too, to be fair. But
maybe I'm just jaded to it at this point. I don't know. But
I'm guessing you have thousands of demands for vocal coaching, don't you? Like, I'm sure you're receiving so many messages. I don't know if it's something you dive in or you do sometimes or whatever.
I've never done it.
Okay.
I don't know. I've never tried it. I don't feel like I would be all that good at it. I'm not very good at describing what it is I'm doing.
Okay.
But I mean, I get told by pretty much everybody I know personally that I should be doing that. And I'm just like, how can I just teach something I don't even know how to talk about,
Well, to be fair, there's definitely a market, and there would definitely be a line of people waiting for that I can promise. But at the same time, I get what you mean, because doing something is different than completely explaining in detail every step. Everybody's
especially
different too,
because
right?
it's all internal too. Like I can tell you, move your finger or whatever, and you can see that, but you can't see what I'm doing. So I don't even know what the hell I'm doing. So there's no way.
You said it. It's kind of second nature for you now. So it's just like something you just do. So
every different sound that comes out of me is just it's like thinking of talking a different way, I guess.
Channeling the energy and just going there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got everybody excited about the about what's coming. I can tell you. Like I was looking at the chat, I'm like, okay, people are super excited about it.
Cool. I'm probably more excited than all of you, but I'm glad you are.
That's the goal.
I'd love to pick your brain on two more things. I'd love to maybe, because I don't think this gets talked about enough, but you've shared so much music over the years online. You are a very big, respectfully, a music nerd. When it comes to a lot of the extreme metal stuff. I always find that pretty cool. For a while you were like posting like an album a day type thing and like fully like describing what it sounds like and kind of just talk to me about like I guess sharing the love for music. This is kind of like why we do what we do here, but I'm assuming you have that sort of similar itch yourself seeing the type of stuff you've someone will ask you for a recommendation in insert whatever genre and you'll take the time to shit out like a list of 30 bands in a random Facebook comment. I always found that super cool. So can you kind of speak to that a little bit?
Let me see. Yeah, my extreme metal playlist is 933 hours long. So yeah, that is.
Okay.
I have quite a bit of stuff. And I mean, I've been, I guess, just addicted to especially death metal and black metal and all the related genres, except melodic death metal. I don't really listen to that. But
my
the melodic stuff just doesn't do it for me personally. I like dissonance and stuff that sounds wrong, I guess. But yeah, so for like almost 20 years now, that's just been my thing. And I really, sometimes I'll listen to other genres of music, and it's mostly just ambient or like shit that's nostalgic, like Rage Against the Machine or, System. But outside of that, like I really don't get the urge to hear anything else. There's nothing that makes me feel alive, I guess, the same. So I've always kind of wanted to jump down the rabbit hole and just hear everything. And so I kind of did that, I guess. And there's a lot of stuff that I would love to post that I just think that maybe 3 or 4 people will click on it. And that's cool. I'm glad for those 3 or 4 people. But I wish that there was a way that I could get this stuff out there just because I appreciate it so much. There's a lot of music that I think is just like absolutely phenomenal that gets completely forgotten about because it's not, popular on Spotify or, there's not a 2-minute long breakdown in it or, XYZ. And I think that it bums me out that it's kind of like that now. It's very different from when I first got involved in this kind of music. Where there's a bit more appreciation, I guess, for the underground itself, especially before streaming was a thing. But I mean, yeah, I would love to do anything involving that. And I know I'm grateful that there are people that check out my stories when I share this stuff. And if I should or could do that more, then I absolutely will, I guess.
Did you ever think about doing do you have public playlists?
I have one, I think, on Spotify, yeah.
Because that could be kind of cool if you had just different, I don't know, maybe it's split up by genres or things you're currently listening to or the more underground stuff, maybe a playlist for that. I don't know. I think there'd be a market for people who want to discover stuff that would be into what you have to offer in terms of like random shit that no one's like, especially the stuff that no one's heard about, right? I
did make that playlist sort of for that reason, but while making it, I realized there's like so much stuff that I listen to that's not on Spotify.
Yeah, that's it. Eh? What do you typically listen to your music on? I have Apple Music,
but I also have just files of stuff that I've had for years or from CDs that I've collected over the years. So I have a lot of stuff that isn't on streaming platforms that came out in like 1987 or something like that you can't find now unless probably you go on some Russian torrent site or something like that. But
It's the only reason I have Apple Music is to be able to have my local files. I have a shit ton of local files as well.
Exactly.
And to be able to have it within my Apple Music on my phone, even if it's local file stuff, and still have like, you can still search an artist, because you can kind of do that on Spotify, but it doesn't put it with the rest of the artists in your playlists and your stuff. So it's kind of annoying. Apple Music's been I deal with iTunes on Windows PC. It's a nightmare, but you should do what you gotta do.
Me too. So that's funny. Yeah, local files, I'm all for it.
It's a dying breed. I mean, because I don't know for you. For me, it was a bunch of downloading stuff from Blogspots and stuff like that, especially in the early deathcore days and stuff.
Early deathcore days, like Duerr blog and shit like that. Wow,
exactly, like Total Deathcore Sexy, like fucking
wow, you're
Daily
throwing me
Mosh
back
stuff
now.
like that. Like, yeah, but that was the way, right? And we had these files, and those are never like deleted unless you like yeet your hard drive or whatever. But like it's now, but I feel like even as someone who used to do that, now a lot of the music I listen to is just on streaming platforms, and once that disappears, I don't have access to any of that music anymore. And that kind of scares me. Like
it's a bigger conversation though, because like I feel the same way for movies, for series and stuff like that.
Video
like,
games, same thing.
You're paying per month, but you have nothing. Like if tomorrow Netflix is like, hey, your favorite show's gone. Well, it's gone. So that's why I had this realization. I'm like, I own nothing. So one shot I've bought, like, because I love The Office, Parks and Recreation, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, all those like comedies and stuff. I bought all the box set. I'm like, if something happened, it's here. I have like a collection of early 2000 movies, goofy movies, like
he ends
American
up
Pie
prepping his bunker,
kind of
for the worst case scenario.
Kind of.
Not unwise.
I miss physical copies though. I'll be honest with you. Like it feels different. Like buying a game, you know what I mean? Like there's nothing less satisfying than buying a digital game and downloading it. Like it's okay, I guess. But I'm just like, okay, so let's play the game. Like for me, the excitement is like to have a copy is something that makes the difference. So
it's definitely different. I mean, there's very few albums that I get truly excited for when they come out now. But I mean, I remember being 15 and like basically breaking the doors down to FYE trying to buy the new Doom of Warrior CD or something like that. And times are just like people don't get to experience that now. It's kind of weird.
No, but you talked about it a little bit. I thought it was interesting what you said. You said all those bands that are like it's not talent so much. It's also of course talent, but there's also like the way you market yourself and stuff like that. And you guys are in a position to understand that, right? You're doing so much by yourself. Like I don't even understand how you manage to do that, by the way. But it's like we're in a world now that it's cool, it's accessible, you can do it, you can build something, but at the same time, if you're just a good musician but you don't have these tools, it's going to be very difficult, right?
And that's honestly a huge chunk of the music library that I'm talking about right now. Is there's some stuff in there that genuinely just blows my fucking mind, and nobody knows about it. They have like 100 monthly listeners or something like that on Spotify, or like whatever the cap is, the minimum cap. So it kind of sucks that is how things are now. And there's like a whole other scene of death metal bands that is not included in like this tour circuit that my band plays in, or like most of our peers play in, that exists just solely in the underground, because those guys just either don't have the marketing skills or don't want to market this way or whatever reason.
It's a lot of work, to be fair. Like
it is.
To be, it's like, because some people are like, well, you just have to post and everything. It's a lot. It's almost more time than like recording and actually doing your music. You have to treat it as a business, and it's not for everyone. Is it one of your goals maybe in the future to sometimes, because I don't know much about organizing tours and stuff like that, I never did that, but is it one of your goals maybe in the future, one of those bands as a special guest somewhere and stuff like that? Is that doable?
I would love that. And usually I mean, at least in the last year, I definitely tried to do that. Like we were talking about openers for this Cal Decap tour that we're about to do with our booking agent, and I was just throwing like the most underground like European death metal bands at him, like Undergang, Frontalith, like anybody that I could think of, and he's just like, I've never heard of any of these bands, and I was just like, it's okay, they're great, but you know, not a whole lot of people know about them because they're so fucking underground and are either new or just don't have the right team, I guess.
But I think it would be
like a
sorry.
Well,
Yeah?
okay. I think there's like a thing too when you're putting together a tour. Like, there's a difference between wanting a band that's on there that's going to sell more tickets versus having a band that's there because the rest of the tour package wants to maybe showcase the band. Just because people, you know, if you put these guys in front of a crowd, people are going to enjoy them, but they're not necessarily going to sell tickets, right? And
yeah, for sure.
I think
that's really how every tour
too.
works.
Yeah.
There's the stress of, you know, making it profitable and all that stuff. I understand there's another side to it, but I'm just going to speak from the perspective of a fan. It's always cool when the first bands or first few bands or something you didn't actually, to me, that's kind of the goal, to go to a show and be like, who are those guys? And to have like an opportunity like that, it can literally put a band on the map like that, you know, like one tour, and it's like everybody knows about them. So there's like two sides on that. I can see both sides. I'm like, yeah, you have to sell tickets, but on the other side, it's like you have to start somewhere, and it's pretty cool. So it's like,
yeah, I definitely see both sides, but I'm with you personally. I would like to, of course, sell tickets, but I would also like for the show to be interesting as well. Like, I don't want people to be like, all right, you know what? I'm going to leave at 8:45 and, you know, I'm satisfied. Like, I want you to have fun. That's really what I care about mostly, because, you know, I'm a huge fan of this genre, and there's a lot of people in current active deathcore bands that, you know, are fans of deathcore, but they're not really, you know what I mean? I don't know how to explain it.
I know what you mean. Right.
Yeah. And for me, like, I don't really listen to deathcore either, but there is plenty of other extreme metal music that I just love. And that's like the whole reason why I'm here. Or else I'd be, you know, a rapper or some shit. Like half of the guys that I've encountered at times probably should have been. Because there's dudes who just like don't really give a shit about this genre anymore. Maybe they did in the past, but I can see it plain as day usually. And if that is a thing, then I don't really understand. Maybe I'm crazy why we can't just take some cool band and throw them on the tour if nobody gives a shit anyways.
Well, to me, the way I see it, and maybe I'm wrong, but like, I don't think, I know they think about tickets and stuff like that, but a name like you guys, and so it's already gonna in my mind, it's like it's gonna bring people anyway. It's not like, oh, I would have gone to see Shadow of Intent, but I don't know this opener, so I won't, like, you know what I mean? Like, it would still sell, you know what I mean? If it's Shadow, and I think you just mentioned Cattle Decap, right? Which is freaking amazing.
Euro,
and I think it, by the way, while we're here, it's a very good combo, Shadow and Cattle as a
I'm very excited about that. Just like we were talking about Phil Bozeman, Travis Ryan was a huge inspiration for me as a teenager when I was learning vocals. And I went from being like, how the fuck does that guy make that sound when I was like 16 to, you know, we're just shooting the breeze talking about random stuff and trap music and, you know, hanging out. He's a great guy also. So, I'm excited to annoy the shit out of him for a month.
No, that's crazy. And also, I respect them so much. They've been around, not everybody knows, but they've been around since forever, and they kept being relevant.
They keep getting better, dude.
Good,
I've loved their stuff more and more. It's insane.
they're getting more. It's cool to see that now it feels like now they're getting more recognition as opposed to like the grind for a long time. And I always felt like they deserved more than what they were getting. Now it's cool to see that they're getting it. But another thing that I want to shout them out for is they were supporting deathcore tours very early on when it was still controversial and stuff like that. You could see their bands playing with them. A lot of people thought they were deathcore because they were like around all those bands, but they're really death metal and stuff. So I commend them for that, because so many death metal bands just kind of wanted to step away from deathcore, and they always
they've always embraced it.
Yeah, they've always been very cool and consistent by the sound of it. And he kind of mentioned to me like some story, I forget, where he was talking, I think about like Mitch Lucker was talking to him, and like Johnny Davey was talking to him back in like 2006 or 7 or something like that. So right there, that tells you that, you know, they've been affiliated for quite a while. If every deathcore vocalist from that era, for sure from that era, but even till today, you know, references that dude, right?
And he's inspired it's like so many of them.
Yeah, he's like synonymous with deathcore, despite not being a deathcore band at all. But his vocals are just, you know, on another level. Yeah,
absolutely agreed. He's honestly, just aside from his vocal ability too, the way he writes, I think is impeccable. He just I don't really know how to describe it, but he just knows how to sell like every part of the song, and I think that's really impressive.
Yeah, he makes music that I feel like someone who maybe would be introduced to that, it's so like, even if you're maybe outside of it, it's so beautiful. Like, I know it's heavy, but like the way it's written, it tells a story type thing. I think that's what I'm getting from what you're saying, because I feel the same way. It's like, even like objectively, someone who doesn't even appreciate like heavy music could probably be like
pretty intense gateway band, but still.
No, I know.
I get what you're saying. No,
I know. It's still, maybe some people would be like, what is that? You know, maybe not to someone who never heard screaming before. I would maybe not recommend, but someone who's
one of the most menacing sounding people on earth
might not be.
No, but it's good songwriting. Again, they're another band that's always done choruses. They do it in a completely different way, but they've always done choruses really well as well. So I'd love to touch on a final thing, Ben, if you don't mind, before letting you go. I think we have to. We have to have the Halo talk.
Fuck. All right, what's up?
We're here for the clips, Ben.
What's the Halo talk?
No, but look, let's go back to
it's terrible now. No,
Gigolo Assassin 4 gamer tag days.
Wow, how do you even know that?
Hey, it's my job to know that.
Nobody knows how he knows his stuff. It's scary, honestly. Like, fortunately, he's on my side. I would be terrified if he started hating.
But let's go back. Let's go back to that time. You know, like early. You know, the early video game days and the early Halo. Like, talk to us about specifically, I guess, your love for Halo, as it was in the beginning, and we'll talk about the present, I'm sure. But you know, what obviously the band was centered around Halo and stuff too. Like, clearly a big Halo fan, right? So what was it about Halo?
I don't know. I mean, I guess it's really the first video game that had any sort of like actual emotional impact on me, I guess. I got Combat Evolved when I was like 6 on Xbox, and I could not
still good. By the way,
absolutely still good. I couldn't beat the second level. I think I wasted my entire summer vacation trying to beat the second level, which I'm assuming you've played the game. So that part where you turn on the bridge and drive the Warthog over. Yes. I was trying to ramp over with the Warthog for like 2 months straight.
To be fair, I got stuck there too for a while.
Really?
Yes. Oh, yes. Like, because it's a weird place. It's a weird, like, it's on this side and everything. I get
not
it.
Obvious.
No.
So my cousin came over and showed me that, and I was just like dumbfounded. Like, wow, I just wasted so much time. It took me like the rest of the year to beat it, and it just I mean, I was young. I didn't really have any sort of clue what to expect in that game. So like when the flood came about, I was just kind of mind blown. And I was in love with the whole game, and my brother and I played the multiplayer like all the time. Like rockets on the map Wizard, or shotties on whatever. And Halo 2 just continued blew my
masterpiece.
Mind. Yeah, that's like for single player campaigns, that's like my favorite video game.
Incredible.
I can literally like recite the entire game's dialogue, like basically.
Dude, like, do you remember the first time you play, like the time when, because in the first one you visit all the first one is amazing. You visit, you see so many different, elements and stuff. But like in the second one, being in the city with like the scarabs, like the first time I was there, like my mind was like when the hunters are breaking the doors and everything. I was terrified a little bit.
Yeah. So that part, I love that part, but really like the Covenant Holy City is what really blew my mind. I was like, wait a second, we're in like where the aliens live right now as a little kid. So in third or fourth grade, I think my mom got me the first 3 books, The Fall of Reach, The Flood, and First Strike. And I read those, and I ended up buying the other books up until pretty much when I was like 18, I think. So I had, I think, around like 15 or 20 of them at that time. And I've read all of them several times at that point. So the reason Shadow of Intent is Halo themed is simply because we weren't taking it seriously. We didn't plan to become a band. And some of the orchestral stuff that he had written kind of threw me back to all that. And I couldn't really think of anything else to write about at the time.
It's all he knew.
Just made sense.
Yeah, it's just like I was very used to Burning Beneath being like very kind of brutal death metal oriented, whereas this was very not like that. I didn't feel like I could write songs about like, fucking murdering people over this like beautiful melodic song. So I don't know. The first thing I thought of was like, hey, let's do a video game. And it was between Halo and Gears of War and Doom.
All good choices.
Yeah, I ended up just going with Halo because I could write the most about it, honestly.
There's definitely more lore within Halo to pull from than any of those other games, too. So
exactly.
In the long run, that probably panned out a little better, too.
Yeah. I didn't expect to write a whole second album about that, Reclaimer. That was kind of like oh, cool, people like Primordial, let's do it again. And then after that, I was like, all right, this was fun. I want to do something else now. I want to do something kind of more serious. So,
dude, I need to ask you though. Because personally, when I think about Halo, 1, 2, 3. I don't know if you played Halo 3 during the Prime era, like 2008, 2009 on Xbox 360. It was
2007. I was there.
Yeah, 2007. Yeah, because the release was in 2000. It was, I think, for me, my favorite era of online gaming ever.
Absolutely.
It was the best. Like Halo 3 had the biggest, by far the biggest amount of players and stuff you could. It was absolutely insane. I always kind of tried to find that again or whatever, or that feeling. It was never there. I don't know for you.
I have only found that in one other game. And honestly, I like it even more than Halo.
What?
Yeah.
You gotta hit us with it. What's this game?
It's a game called Arma 3 by this Czech developer. And it's kind of like a extreme milsim shooter game. Like extreme. And I play with a ton of mods. So me and my friends kind of like, you can play it as like a FPS and RTS at the same time. So we're like simulating, which is what the game is designed for, basically. Tactical simulations. We're simulating like full-blown like 20,000 troops to both sides, like conventional warfare, where there's like artillery involved and like planes and like the whole fucking 9 yards. And these games will go on for like 70 days straight. Like we'll like log back in and it'll still be going. And
that's insane.
It's uncomparable to any other video game I've ever played in my life. And it is the scariest and most fun game that I've ever come across.
Probably a little bit.
It's incredibly stressful.
Yeah. Okay.
And it gave me, you have to play it like you know what you're doing. Like if you don't, I had to get taught basically by my friends who are actual combat vets how to play that game. I was like, I'm getting just wrecked in this game. Like, please help me. And they played with me, and they kind of taught me a bit of the U.S. military doctrine. And after they did that, I had a ton of fun in that game. And we would just do crazy stuff that I dreamt about doing in video games as a kid, basically.
I'm guessing the learning curve is pretty big, because like I've played some CSGO and stuff like that. I'm guessing you need to manage like your recoil, learn the guns and everything, how it works and stuff like that. Like I'm guessing there's kind of a big curve
it's not at all what you would expect. It's so much closer to real life combat than it is video game combat. And it's it can go from like super slow pace, like you're shooting at dudes 900 yards away, and like you're just lobbing bullets at each other basically, and just being like, hey, fuck you. And they're returning the favor. And then all of a sudden it goes to like from 0 to 100, because now there's dudes sneaking up behind you and you're in close proximity, and there's no respawns and this, that, and the other thing. And there's the stakes are so much higher in that game than in other ones. So you really feel like the stress of the situation. Plus you've got mods for like real sounds with real acoustics and real everything. So it's like so shocking to your senses sometimes when you run into situations like that I just hide in the game.
Imagine if they would have done that, but like with Halo elites and ODSTs type thing in a big war. Like, I mean, it would have been crazy. No, I was just curious, and I saw some videos of Arma. My first thought was like, it's extremely realistic and cool. Like every videos I've seen, I was kind of blown away.
Everyone I've heard talk about Arma, like if you're into it, you're into it.
Yeah.
That's one of those
I have like over 5,000 hours in that game, I think.
Okay.
And yeah, like the base game is pretty real, but me and my friends have like 100 mods loaded every time we play that just like really pushes the pedal all the way down to the floor and that sort of thing. Like we have to like eat, drink, pee, like everything in the game. And we'll kind of laugh at each other because you have to pee. And like, we'll be like dicks to each other and be like, don't pee here, man. Go pee over there. And like some drone will just happen to fly by right at the exact second he's going to pee. And then all of a sudden there's just rockets raining around us out of nowhere. It's a very fun game. And you never experience the same thing twice.
That's awesome though. It's like really replayable, basically.
Yeah. Like I said, I have over 5,000 hours in that game, and I've never had like a even close to being similar, I guess, kind of encounter or mission or whatever.
That's crazy. That's absolutely wild. And not to go back to Halo, but I have another question before ending it. But okay, so how most of Halo fan feels, and how I certainly feel, is, you know, Halo 1, absolute masterpiece. 2, masterpiece. 3, masterpiece. Reach, I loved it a lot. Seriously, like I really enjoyed it. It was a bit different, but like to be your own Spartan, to be kind of in this retro pre-war, pre-equipment, to me was absolutely insane. I love Reach, the design, everything. ODST was awesome, but they really lost me at Halo 4 because I felt like the entire world was made out of plastic somehow. I don't know how they did it, but it stopped feeling real. But they had more technology to do it. Never understood that part. And they changed most of the armors. I was like, what is that?
Yeah, I wasn't a fan.
I was just curious to see where, like, did you have like kind of the same time period disconnection with Halo? Was it around like Halo 4 or that you were like, okay, I think...
Yeah. Okay. So basically Halo 4, I started thinking that. And then Halo 5 came out, and that was just the most disappointing abomination.
That's the worst thing I've seen. Like, terrible.
I beat that game before like 4 o'clock even turned around in the morning. I got it at midnight, and before 4 o'clock I was done. I remember sitting there in my chair, and I just sighed and uninstalled it, turned off the Xbox, went to bed. I'm like, wow, what a fucking waste of time.
You're better than me. I saw like the trailer with the other character, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not playing. I didn't even I didn't
wise.
even try. When I see the other dude that I never remember his name, like Lucky, I think, like Command or something. The other dude that you get to play even more than Master Chief. Somehow they thought it was a good idea.
Stupid.
There's a scene that it's impossible for me not to laugh, but they're like fighting, throwing punches,
and it's
I
like
was
slow-mo.
I was like, you read the books, right? Master Chief is this overpower, incredible. Like, basically, the other dude would have been dead within seconds, technically, like speaking, in a fight.
I mean, he was what? I'm gonna get all nerdy on y'all here. He was like in what, Spartan 4 kit, which they're not nearly as indoctrinated or genetically enhanced, or
it's not close.
In that,
it's not close.
So it just was ridiculous that was even a thing at all.
Yeah, and they made it like, if it makes sense, like it was full, like it was a moment in the story, and they were like fighting, and I'm like, well, no, I don't. That's not how it goes. And if you look at what they did with, like, I know a lot of people love the multiplayer because like it was a bit faster and stuff like that, which I personally, I was like, what is even that? Like, the whole point of Halo that was cool is how it was, and they lost it. But the armors, dude, I was like, one of my favorite thing in Halo was like the Spartan armors and everything. In Reach, it was freaking amazing. In Halo 3, like customization, it was on top. And they released 5, and I was like, I need to know who chose the design. Like, was this like a decision? Guys, it needs to look bad. This looks too good. Ruin this one. Like, I really didn't
That's
get it.
honestly how I feel about Call of Duty now as well. That game series, like, I stopped playing Call of Duty when Black Ops 1 came out.
You didn't like Black Ops 1?
Nope. I hated it. I hated
but it's
it.
more, you're more into the more realistic,
yes,
like the
Modern
World
Warfare 2
type stuff. The more,
but at the same time, I'd been playing Call of Duty since the first one was out on PC.
Yeah, okay.
In like 2003, and then the United Offensive expansion. So like, that's the Call of Duty I liked. And Black Ops came out, and it just became a whole that game just got smaller and smaller and smaller every new release that came out. And then finally Black Ops, I was like, nope, that's it. I can't do this anymore.
Oh, really? Okay, for me, Black Ops was my kind of like, I even played Black Ops 2. It was a bit too futuristic with too many features, but I still enjoyed it. But like, for me, Modern Warfare 2 and Black Ops 1, like, I both liked it. But I can see your perspective. If you were playing on PC before that, there's a lot of people who were like, they moved away. But
it's another game at that point. It's like a whole,
has
nothing to do
it
with
was
it,
honestly to Battlefield back then than what they were putting out at that time. So that's what I missed. And I mean, I did love Modern Warfare 2. I thought it was great. But like, since Black Ops has come out, I feel like they've done the same thing Halo's been doing, where it's just everything's starting to look ridiculous, and like there's just all these crazy random colors and like crazy random stuff, and like people are running around on fire and shit.
Dude,
it's like,
there are
tutorials.
There's people online right now saying how to make your game look better, and they're boosting the colors to the point where it's like, it's so flashy, it looks like Fortnite. I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. But like, when they lost me even more, well, I was already gone after Black Ops 2. I stopped. Like, Ghost to me was terrible. But like, they made I'm always gonna remember, they made a trailer for Infinite Warfare, and there was so many dislikes that they deleted the video. First time in history that a teaser had. So what they did is release Modern Warfare 1 remaster at the same time as a package to sell it, because people were trashing, because they tried to make a Call of Duty with like aliens and stuff. So people were like, no, like there was like a jetpack. I think you could run on walls. I was like, okay, it's gone.
That's crazy. So, I do have the Call of Duty 4 remaster because I love Call of Duty 4. So I do.
That's awesome. That's different.
They never fully went back to that
but
sort of
I've
stuff.
never touched Infinite Warfare.
I don't think you missed much, if I'm honest with you. But like, what I can say though is I think it's more than that. I think the market itself really changed a lot, right? Like when we were talking about Halo, remember when you had to collect the skulls for a Yabusa online? And so there was more.
You had to do like all sorts of stuff to get that, I think. Or no, that was the recon armor, I think. that
you needed to impress. You could see the devs in game with the flaming element. I just feel like the market changed entirely. Now it's like there's a store buying items. It's just changed all in all, I think, is my take. So that was
maybe I'm old school, but man, it's just not appealing now. I rarely do online gaming at this point, unless I do play on PC. Like I have Hell Let Loose and Squad and stuff like that I'll play, or Red Orchestra or something. But really, just the more serious gaming experience is what I'm looking for these days.
Yeah,
it's different. Yeah, I get it.
All right, my man, thank you so much for doing this. This
went fast.
This is a really fun conversation. I really enjoyed this. So I do appreciate you taking the time with us and kind of going back in time a little bit.
No, of course, dude. I'm glad we skipped over the haircut conversation.
Of course.
People wanted us though. Like we've seen a few comments.
The caption was for the meme more than anything else, but you know, had to do it to him.
I appreciate it.
If there's anything you want to plug before getting off, I know we already talked a lot about what's coming music wise, but if you've got anything, I know you got the Euro tour coming up. If there's anything else you want to plug,
well, we should have at least 1 or 2 new songs out soon. And next year, we've got some very large and sick tours that are happening. So hopefully, if you guys like what you hear in the coming months, I will see you out there.
Hell yeah.
Amazing. We're all looking forward to the new music, especially with the conversation today. We're excited, man. Really
awesome.
Excited.
Yeah, man. Well, enjoy the rest of your night. Thank you
very much, dude.
For doing this, and we'll keep in touch. All right.
All right, man. Thank you guys for having me. Take care.
Of course. Take care, man.
Take care, man.